There's this moment, right? I think every leader, every parent, probably every mentor faces it. It kind of defines how you approach helping someone grow.
Uh-huh. What kind of moment are you thinking of?
Well, like the classic one.
Mm-hmm.
A kid, maybe 6 years old, little Emma, let's say. She's really struggling, maybe even starting to cry because she just cannot get her shoelaces tied.
Ah, yes. The shoelace dilemma.
Yeah.
Very familiar.
Exactly. And you're standing there. Do you just, kneel down, tie it super quick because you're late, save everyone the stress?
That's option one. The easy fix.
Or do you pause, take a breath, get down on her level, and actually let her work through that frustration, even though it's painful to watch and, frankly, takes way longer?
And that tension right there, the quick fix versus the growth path, that's really what we're digging into today.
Yeah.
Because the easy way solves the immediate problem for them, but the research suggests our actual mission should be totally different.
How so?
We need to shift from being the go-to problem solver to building people who can eventually build themselves, developing that internal capability.
Okay, so we're hunting for the blueprint for, real independence. And it sounds like the first step, maybe counterintuitively, isn't about the how-to. It's managing the feelings around it.
That's exactly it. It's managing the emotional state.
I always figured frustration was just, part of the deal. You
Yeah.
push through. But you're saying it actively gets in the way.
It absolutely does. And that's such a critical piece for anyone guiding someone else. We talk about the brain doing different things, but when someone's learning, it doesn't matter if it's complex project management or, basic coding or shoelaces.
Right.
Their feelings don't just sit politely on the sidelines, feeling overwhelmed, anxious, really frustrated. Those feelings, they actually occupy working memory. They take up bandwidth.
Whoa, okay. So the actual mental space they need to figure out the knot or debug the code or whatever the task is,
Yeah.
that space is being clogged up by the panic or the anxiety about messing up.
Precisely. They literally have less cognitive horsepower left for the task itself. And you see this play out everywhere.
Like where? Give me an example.
Okay, think about a student in math class. One student feels this crushing sense of inadequacy, like, I'm just stupid, because I don't get algebra right now.
Okay.
That feeling itself is this huge wall they hit first. Compare that to another student who sees not getting it yet as, well, normal, a temporary thing. I don't understand this yet. Huge difference in approach.
Yeah, one is paralyzed, the other sees a path.
Or in the workplace. An employee feels deep shame after making a mistake. That shame can make them just freeze, unable to even process what went wrong, let alone learn from it.
Right, they shut down.
Versus the colleague who views mistakes as, okay, data points. Annoying maybe, but part of the learning curve. Less emotional baggage, more capacity to analyze and adjust.
Okay, so this flips the script a bit. If someone's stuck, our first instinct might be the technical pip, or maybe even a bit of a nudge, like, come on, you know this.
Right, the fix-it mode.
But maybe the first move should be addressing that emotional block, creating room for the frustration, but without judging it.
Exactly. Communicating that struggle is, well, it's normal. It's temporary. And crucially, their worth as a person isn't tied to how fast they pick up this specific skill.
That feeling of safety.
That's psychological safety, yeah. That's what the research calls extending grace.
Grace. Okay, let's unpack that because grace can sound a little soft, maybe vague in a practical sense. How does it work as a tool for growth?
It's actually very practical. Extending grace means, first, just recognizing that pretty much everyone is just figuring things out as they go. We all are, right?
Or no?
So you create an environment where it's fundamentally okay to be imperfect, to make noise while you're learning, to not have it all figured out immediately.
Okay, safety to be messy.
But, and this is really important, we need to be crystal clear about what grace isn't.
Right, what's it not?
It is not about lowering expectations or standards. And it's definitely not about dodging necessary, sometimes difficult conversations about performance or results.
Ah, okay. That distinction is vital. Grace isn't avoidance. It sounds more like strategic support. Precision guidance.
Precision is a good word for it. Grace means meeting people exactly where they are right now, not where you, the mentor or manager, think they should be by this stage.
So forget the shoulds.
For a moment, yes. Focus on specific help for the current struggle. If they've got steps A and B down, but C's the hurdle, you focus your help right there on getting from C to D.
Instead of the big lecture about how they mastered A and B 3 months ago and C should be easy by now.
Exactly. You avoid that generalized stuff because the signal you send when you offer that precise, non-judgmental help is incredibly powerful.
What signal is that?
It says, I see you're struggling here, and I believe you can get past this. It frames the current difficulty as temporary, a state, not a permanent trait or deficiency. It builds confidence.
Okay, so grace builds the mental safety net. That allows for the risk-taking needed to learn. But, feeling safe is one thing. Actually building the skill, the muscle, cognitive or physical, is another.
Absolutely. Safety gets you to the starting line.
Right, because, reading 50 books about cycling doesn't make you Lance Armstrong. Watching a killer presentation doesn't suddenly make you a great speaker.
Nope. Skill needs repetition. Practice.
But not just any old repetition, right?
Right. The research really highlights deliberate practice. It's not just doing the same thing 100 times mindlessly.
What makes it deliberate?
It's about focusing intensely each time, right on the edge of your current ability, pushing just slightly beyond your comfort zone. That specific kind of effort is what seems to strengthen the neural pathways, making the connections stronger, faster.
That takes real patience, though, especially in, say, a high-stakes work situation. Like a new manager.
Yeah.
They don't just read about handling tough conversations and then, boom, they nail it the first time.
Definitely not.
They probably need, multiple shots at it?
Yeah.
Having genuinely difficult talks, like telling a really good employee they didn't get the promotion they wanted, and then actually dealing with the real, messy, emotional fallout.
Absolutely. Those real-world pressers, that's the environment where the deliberate practice actually happens. You can't fully simulate that.
And for, say, a creative person,
Mm.
does repetition apply there too? It feels different.
Oh, absolutely. For someone in a creative field, repetition often looks like generating tons and tons of ideas, including lots of bad ones. You wade through the necessary sludge, as it were, to find the gems.
Ah, the practice is generating volume,
Mm.
not just refining one thing.
Exactly. And across all these fields, repetition does something else just as important as building the skill itself.
What's that?
It builds confidence.
Hmm.
Every little success, every time you try something, adjust, and it works slightly better.
You've gathered proof.
You gather tangible evidence, little data points that say, hey, you can do this. And that fuels persistence for the next challenge, which might be even bigger.
Okay, so we've got emotional safety through grace. We've got skill building through deliberate practice. What's the third pillar? You mentioned questions.
Right. Questions are potentially the ultimate tool for getting someone to actively engage their brain.
How so? Why questions instead of just telling them?
Well, think about it. If I just give you the answer, your brain might process it, maybe store it, maybe not. It's relatively passive.
Okay.
But if I ask you a genuine question, something you don't already know the answer to, you have to engage. You have to retrieve information, synthesize it, analyze it, generate a unique response. Your brain is doing the work.
But hang on. If I'm a manager and we're facing a deadline or there's a client issue blowing up, why take an extra 10 minutes asking questions when I know the answer that will fix it right now? Seems inefficient.
It might seem slower in the short term, yeah.
Yeah.
But think longer term. When the insight, the solution, is discovered by the learner, it feels fundamentally more true to them. It sticks. It's far more memorable and meaningful than just being told they own it.
Ah, ownership. Okay.
And it correctly shifts the burden of the cognitive work onto the learner, which is where the growth actually happens.
So what kind of questions work best? I guess not just did you do X or those leading questions where you're obviously guiding them to your answer.
Exactly. They need to be powerful, genuinely curious questions. The research points to maybe 3 key types that really spur deeper thinking.
Okay, like what?
First, there's the reflective or analytical type. What do you think went wrong there? This forces them to analyze, to take ownership of the outcome, especially if it was a failure.
Okay. Gets past the blame game, maybe.
What's
Next.
Second type is about strategy and future action. How might you approach this differently next time? This pushes towards creative problem solving and planning, looking forward instead of just dwelling on the mistake.
Right. Turns the mistake into a planning session. And the third?
The third type encourages broader, systemic thinking. These are the what would happen if questions.
Like hypothetical.
Exactly. What would happen if we changed this variable? Or what if that client suddenly stopped responding? Or what if we tried to double our output rate? It gets them thinking about consequences, possibilities, ripple effects before they actually happen.
Exploring the system.
But the big caveat, like you hinted at, is they must feel genuine. If the person senses you're just testing them or nudging them towards an answer you already have in mind,
They clam up.
the deep engagement just shuts right down. Curiosity is key.
Okay, so grace, practice, questions.
Yeah.
All these pieces, they're building blocks, right? And they're all heading towards one ultimate goal.
Independence, that's the unwavering aim.
But it's not like flipping a switch.
Definitely not. Independence has to be achieved through a really gradual, deliberate, responsible transfer of capability. You can't just, toss someone into the deep end and hope they swim, especially with complex or high-risk skills.
So how do you structure that gradual transfer?
Well, the sources suggest a pretty clear roadmap. We
Yeah.
could maybe call it the five-stage progression model for independence.
A model? Okay, that sounds useful, especially for a busy manager trying to develop their team. Lay it out for us.
Okay, stage one. They watch you. They just observe you doing the task, ideally perfectly, explaining maybe what you're doing.
Got it. Observation.
Stage two. You guide their hands. You're providing very direct intervention, maybe physically, maybe verbally, step by step as they do it.
Hands-on guidance.
Stage three. They try while you coach. They're doing the mechanics now, but you're right there, offering immediate feedback, course correction, asking questions, less hands-on, more coaching.
Okay, coaching from the sidelines.
Stage four, they do it with you watching. They're largely independent now. You're just observing, ready to jump in, only if safety or critical quality is at risk. Minimal intervention.
Supervision, basically.
And finally, stage five, they handle it alone, completely independent. Maybe you review the final output later, but the execution is entirely theirs.
Watch. Guide hands, coach. Watch them. Fully alone. Okay, what happens if you skip a stage? Like jump from stage one watching you straight to stage four doing it alone.
That's where you risk overwhelming them. They haven't built the competence or the confidence through those intermediate steps. They likely fail, feel incompetent, and their confidence just plummets. You need those small wins at each stage.
Makes sense. Build competence and confidence layer by layer.
But there's another layer to independence, something that's often missed. True independence isn't just about mastering the technical steps.
Oh, what else is there?
It's about developing judgment.
Ah, okay. Explain that difference. Judgment versus skill.
Skill is knowing how to follow the procedure perfectly. Judgment is knowing when to follow the procedure, when to adapt it, maybe when to break it, or even when to stop entirely because the context demands it.
Right. Knowing the rules versus knowing when the rules don't apply or when something else is more important.
Precisely. Judgment involves assessing complex, sometimes ambiguous situations, knowing what needs attention now, managing unexpected failures, making good calls under pressure when there isn't a clear procedure in the manual.
Can you give an example?
Sure, a technically skilled aircraft mechanic might follow the maintenance checklist perfectly, and mechanic with judgment might notice a series of minor, seemingly unrelated warning flags across different systems and realize they point to a potential pattern, a precursor to a bigger failure that isn't explicitly covered by any single checklist item. They see the bigger picture and take action based on that insight.
So judgment is about synthesis, pattern recognition, and proactive decision-making, not just execution.
Exactly. And developing that kind of judgment really requires pulling together all the things we've talked about.
How so?
You need the emotional regulation, the grace to stay calm under pressure. You need the deep knowledge from deliberate practice to recognize the patterns. And you need the analytical habit built by asking those what-if questions to anticipate consequences and make informed decisions.
It all ties together.
It really does. Which brings us kind of full circle back to the ripple effect.
Right. You mentioned that earlier.
When we focus on building these fundamental capabilities, persistence, systematic problem solving, emotional regulation, even in small contexts, like, the metaphorical shoelaces, those skills don't just stay confined to that one task. They transfer. They become part of how that person approaches all challenges. You're not just teaching a procedure, you're building core life competence.
And the payoff goes beyond just that one person, doesn't it?
Oh, hugely. It's almost generational. People who are developed this way, supported through struggle, guided with grace, encouraged to think for themselves,
Yeah.
they become so much better at developing others. They instinctively understand how to pass on not just the technical skill, but the approach to learning, the mindset of growth, the practice of grace and questioning. They pay it forward.
Because they've lived it. They know what effective support feels like.
Exactly. So if we were to boil this all down for you, the listener, the core principles seem pretty clear.
Let's recap them.
Okay. First, normalize the struggle. Make it okay to find things hard. Second, create that psychological safety by extending grace, meeting people where they are, focusing help precisely. Third, ask genuinely curious questions that force them to do the thinking. Fourth, Provide structured opportunities for that focused, deliberate practice.
Hmm.
And fifth, always keep that five-stage progression model in mind as your guide towards the ultimate goal, true independence, which includes judgment, not just skill.
It's a powerful framework.
So the next time someone in your orbit is wrestling with their own version of metaphorical shoelaces, could be a colleague learning new software, a team member tackling a tough project, anyone facing a challenge.
Yeah.
We'd encourage you to just pause and consider, what approach will you take in that moment? Will you quickly solve the problem for them? Or will you invest that little bit of extra time and patience to help them build the capacity to solve it and future problems like it themselves? Because that choice, that small interaction, might actually matter far more in the long run than you realize. You're not just fixing a problem, you're potentially helping to build the next generation of capable, independent thinkers and doers.